Universal Century 79. The 1-year war is raging, and so is Shiro's boner for justice and Aina.
Yes.
Welcome everyone to another exciting episode of Screen Weens. We're still riding high on the Gundam.
Yes, we are.
At least for now. And today we are going to be covering Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team.
Yes.
I'm London.
I'm Thomas. And this is Gundam. Yeah. 8th MS Team. I've been looking forward to this one for a long time.
I'd heard this was like one of the ones that I'd heard really good things about for like the smaller stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, before we talk about that, let's talk about what else we've done this week. Thomas, anything? Yes. Thomas started rating movies again.
I did.
It's wild. He was like, it's so much fun. It is fun. And it's so much fun looking at, what if I rated the exact same? It's like, that's weird.
Yeah, because I was just watching like some stuff. I'm like, I can't just say I recommend this or I liked it. I need to quantify this. Yes. So, so I started watching some stuff again. I got a subscription to the Criterion channel.
Which, that's the... If you are going to get it, I get it. I get if people don't want streaming services, you want to collect physical media, that's awesome. The thing is, my brain is like, I cannot wait for the physical release of this. I need to watch this right now. I think the Criterion channel is the best streaming service because it probably has the most bangers.
Yeah.
And it also, like, the supplemental content on there is awesome. Like, the interviews, the collections, like, the adventures in movie going, like, they're all awesome.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. But let's see. So I watched this movie from 1920 called The Daughter of Dawn.
Why did you do that?
Uh-oh.
You're good.
Okay.
Well, so far. I'm just adjusting things. Hopefully it doesn't freeze. You're good.
Okay. It's known for being like the only surviving and perhaps only one that was ever made film that features a cast that is entirely Native American. It features like over 300 members of the Comanche and the Kiowa tribe. Yeah.
From the silent era.
Yeah, it's from
Thomas, I'm pretty sure there are movies now that have all native cast.
I thought
I don't think so, but...
Oh, my bad. Yes, from the silent era. But yeah, because there are other movies that do have like Native American cast from the silent era, but it's like entirely. And yeah, it was pretty good. It's kind of like just... it's a love story, so, there's a lot of reviews on Letterboxd that are like, this movie is kind of just historical homework. It's kind of a bore. And it's like, I guarantee if I went to any of your profiles and looked at silent era movies that are just as plain that came out after. Uh-oh.
No, you're good. I'm
Okay.
just changing the angle a little bit.
That you guys would probably be singing praises.
Yeah. But the thing is, Letterboxd is just filled with film students. And I will say, from my interactions with film students, I feel like half of film students don't like film.
I feel like...
Or they're just like, I love the MCU.
Yeah, it's probably people who go to school to, like, make stuff like the MCU and are like, oh my god, they're making me watch Ingmar Bergman and Kurosawa. Heaven forbid. And anything that might be deeper on the cinema iceberg than that, I mean, God rest their soul. Like, they're... Good luck, soldiers. But I thought it was good. It kind of like it did kind of remind me of Taboo because like Taboo is also kind of just like a love story, but it's just
I fucking love Taboo.
Yeah, it was good.
Especially the shark.
And I thought the love story in The Daughter of Dawn was particularly sweet, even though you could tell that there was kind of an age difference in the cast members. But you guys just kind of take it for what it was. But yeah, that was super good. Then I watched this movie called The Wagoner.
The Wagoner!
Or I think, Borom Sarit? I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm pretty sure it's from Iran. But it's from like...
63.
Yeah. So it's basically just about this guy who drives a wagon for a living, and you kind of like...
Oh, it's by the director of Black Girl. I haven't seen Black Girl, but I've heard really good things about it.
I have seen Black Girl. That's one of the ones that I own a physical copy of. And that was pretty good. It's pretty... I'd say, like, by the end of the movie, it's like, oh, that was kind of intense. But I don't know if intense would be the right word, but yeah, that was also a good movie. So that wouldn't be from Iran, then. That would be... Oh, man, I'm terrible with geography. Let me see if I can...
Well, it takes place in the city of Dakar, which is in Senegal.
Yes.
So, you were on the right hemisphere.
Well...
That's okay. Keep going.
Anyway, then I watched Window Breaker.
Yeah.
Which was from 2006. And that one was pretty decent, pretty good. Kind of like Home Alone without... It wasn't super exciting, but it was a fun little, 11-minute short. I watched a lot of shorts. I was trying to kind of, spark the mood.
Yeah, you watched Maya at 24 and hated it.
I did... Yeah, I thought it was about 3.5 minutes too long for what it wanted to be.
It's not. It's 4 minutes long, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, well, okay, spoiler alert for
a 4-minute
Maya
short.
at 24. I mean, it's one of those shorts that's meant to be kind of just abstract and more expression, which is totally fine. But, yeah, it was on the Criterion Channel, and it's just basically I think she's 9, 16, and then 24, but it's basically just this mother just recording her daughter running circles around her, and occasionally there'll be some abstract line art that'll kind of ambiently fade in and out of the film, and it just goes on for 4 minutes, and it's they cycle through all 3 ages by 1 minute in, and then it's just wow, what am I doing here? Yeah. That I thought it was just kind of I don't know. I'm real
well, maybe you should go watch Atman.
I want to watch that. I couldn't remember the name of it. The one that you're always talking about. It's the guy in the mask and it
Atman.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I just... That is just the camera circling around him for 12 minutes.
Well, maybe that one...
I will say, there is something hypnotic about that one, though.
Yeah, I'll maybe check that one out and see how I feel about it. Hopefully better than
enjoy it more than that, yeah.
Yeah. But then I watched one from 1917, which was, Harold Lloyd, The Big Idea.
Oh, yeah, I read your review. It's Harold Lloyd's so hot or something like that.
He dry humps a broom in the movie, and it's pretty funny. But that's the only thing I really remember about it, outside of the fact that he worked. I guess I remember it. He works in an antique store, and it's gonna go out of business, so he needs to do some hijinks to trick a bunch of people into going there. That way he can marry the antique store's owner's daughter. Pretty standard Harold Lloyd formula, just classic. In 10 minutes. It was very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. Then I watched Andrei Tarkovsky's adaptation
film. Yeah.
of The Killers, which I have not read The Killers, and I hear that this is not a very good adaptation, but the whole time it came so close to bordering that. You know that episode of Lupin? It's from one of the newer parts. It's the one where him and Jigen go in and they're gangsters wearing the hats and they're eating at the restaurant. And they're where's the cook?
Yeah, it's that was one of the ones directed by Mamoru Oshii. I think it was episode 4 of part 5 or something like that. Yeah.
Honestly, there was a couple points where it felt so close to being that, where when it started, I was oh, is this what that Lupin episode was a reference to? But it gets so there's a point where they're oh, you need to go back into the kitchen and cook something, and I thought it was gonna be the same exact play out, exactly the same, but it just came
when you
just
logged it, I thought you had logged the killing, and I thought you had given it a 5. I'm no! Thomas hated the killing!
I'm sure I'll probably end up liking The Killing a lot more when I eventually watch that one. But yeah, The Killers was okay. I think if it had been maybe a couple minutes longer, it just kind of like, it feels like setup and then it just never like finishes the story. And it's like, it was a student film, so it's like, I can see why, but it's like, I don't know. I just didn't feel like it didn't resolve in any sort of a way, even in like a kind of ambiguous thematic way. So I was just kind of like, eh.
I saw you watched also that, is it Incoherence?
The Bong Joon-ho one.
Yeah. I think I rated it the same as you, but when I watched it, I think 4 years ago, it wasn't anywhere. Like, I couldn't find it anywhere. I had to watch it in 4 parts on YouTube.
I remember you, because one of the parts was missing.
One of the parts was missing.
You were talking about messaging Chris Evans. You were like, I've deeply considered messaging Chris Evans on Twitter and asking him to ask.
And I think I ended up finding like part of it was, I think it was on like a random Russian site that I occasionally find movies on. And I don't think it had subs. And I think it was like half of that third part or something like that. So I got like the gist of it. But I want to rewatch it now because I remember like thinking it's pretty good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I'd say I like the first 2 shorts a lot, and I felt like the back 2 shorts weren't as strong. But overall, thought it was very solid. Very solid. I'd say the first short was probably my favorite one, which is the one with the college professor who was like, "Oh, go grab that paper off my desk," and he's like, "Oh no, I left a porno magazine," and he has to like rush back.
Yeah, I remember.
That one's
as soon as you started describing it, I'm like, "Yep, no, I remember that."
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. And then I watched the Evil Dead remake to prep for Evil Dead Rise.
Did you watch Evil Dead Rise twice?
I watched them both twice.
Okay.
I watched Evil Dead Rise twice. So I watched...
You sandwiched them, right?
Yeah, basically. I watched the Evil Dead remake, the standard cut that I always watched, and then I went and saw Evil Dead Rise Sunday morning, and then I got home and I was like, that was really good. So I maybe... I don't know if I should disclose this, but I watched it again. I found a camera.
Okay.
I was just like, oh, man. Because I didn't want to go back twice in the same day. But I'm definitely going to go see it theaters again. Because I want it to stand a chance against Mario. It's not going to. But
God,
it's abysmal. I think it's the second.
It did best. Good. It did like 40 mil.
Yeah, I think it's like third international this weekend. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But yeah. So I want to go support it, especially when Guardians of the Galaxy opens up, so I can... It's like, I'm not going to go see that, but I'm going to go see Evil Dead Rise, like, probably like twice more, so...
I'll go see Guardian. I see everything.
Yeah. I'm not caught up with the MCU. I didn't watch the holiday special, and honestly...
The special's pretty good.
It's like... I mean, as someone who's kind of on the outside looking in at the MCU now, currently, it's like... I see the seeds there... But it's like, I don't know, it feels like so disconnected from the first 2 because it's like, it seems like it's mostly leaning into stuff that happened like Infinity War Endgame.
I'm hoping that, from what I've heard about like test screenings, I don't even know if these are real, this might just be lies, but it seems like it's actively just trying to quickly brush away the stuff. It's like, I just want to tell my end of my story kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Obviously, there are repercussions that you have to do.
But like Gamora.
I'm just, I'm excited for that Superman movie, though. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that's good.
I think James Gunn, if he, especially because he's like, I have the whole world in my pocket right now. I'm like, thank God.
Yeah, I hope that he does make an effort, because it's like, just do a bunch of solo stories and maybe have subtle Easter eggs that build up to like one big movie every like 7-10 years.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need much more than that.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't need a fucking Avengers movie every 3 years.
Yeah. But you liked Evil Dead Rise?
I did. I liked it quite a lot. I did have some real small gripes with it, but they're so small that it's like pretty inconsequential. I just felt like that final scene missed out on a big opportunity that they had for a nice finale set piece. Without saying too much, I'm just going to say the hole.
You wanted to be in the hole.
Yeah, it's like you got that whole interesting set piece down there, and it's like,
That's fair.
But I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. Slight spoilers for the ending of Evil Dead Rise. I probably would have had it like Beth gets like bitch slapped across the parking garage, and the little girl like goes down to hide in the hole, and it follows her down there, and then maybe reveal the chainsaw, like, and the big heroic moment.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I like just the garage too.
Yeah, it was fine.
I'm fine. I also like that we didn't really see in the hole. I think it's like a fun opportunity if they do more in this. I like this idea that there's books, there's 3 scattered throughout that we can get different.
And according to Lee, all three of the books are I've been listening to like some interviews at work and stuff, like some of the just press stuff going on, because I'm kind of interested.
All 3 are accounted for?
Well, in terms of the books, like we've already, because he considers it's like the Sam Raimi book, the Fede Alvarez book, and his book. So those are the 3 books, and he considers all 3 of those books to be the book from Army of Darkness. In the like scene where he has to go get the Necronomicon. There are 3 of them. Which, Army of Darkness. I need to rewatch.
I need to rewatch because I've only seen it that one time that we watched it for the podcast. I'm like, this movie's sick, and I'm gonna try to get Hinata to watch it because she really liked Evil Dead Rise.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely Army of Darkness specifically is a very different vibe. From,
but she liked Evil Dead 2 as well. So
yeah, she'd probably like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I watched the uncut version of Evil Dead 2013, which I had never seen.
Better or worse in your opinion? Because that is the version I watched. I just rewatched it as well.
Oh, okay. So you did watch the uncut version.
Yeah.
I'd say it was...
And I'm like, I hadn't seen the other version since it was in theaters, I think. I can't remember if I saw it in theaters or right afterwards.
The differences are...
Okay.
So...
I'm like, I don't remember... I was like, I don't remember what's different at all. So...
It's literally just a couple alternate shots. In the theatrical cut, you don't see what David does with the bodies of his girlfriend and the nurse.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, oh, they probably burn up in the cabin fire. But and so for years, I've always been like, man, they fucking misled us with the trailer, because it looked like they had shot shots for the trailer that weren't in the movie. Mm-hmm. Turns out all those shots were in the uncut version, because it's like Mia doesn't do her she does the like, not another peep, time to go to sleep from the original in the uncut version. That's not in the theatrical version. Same with that shot of David and the chainsaw. So I was always like, what the fuck is that shot? Like, is that just like to mislead us into thinking he's the Ash of the movie? Mm-hmm. Like, what was the purpose of that? But now that I've seen the full thing, I was like, oh, okay. So like little things like that come across as better. And also in the theatrical cut, they never showed David getting possessed in the fire, which is a huge, if you're just watching the theatrical cut, I've shown it to people and they're like, who is the 5th possession? I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, because they explicitly state that it needs to possess 5 people. Yeah. So it's always just been like, that seems kind of weird, but in the theatrical cut, you see that he does get possessed in the very last seconds before he burns. So it's like, oh, okay. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. The only one I would say that makes a big difference is that one David shot that they needed. But yeah, it really doesn't add. There's some better, I'd say, like, the extended gore sequences are nice. Like, I had never noticed in the box cutter scene where Mia, like, splits her tongue that, like, I don't know if it's in the theatrical version. I only noticed it when watching the uncut version, but it, like, slithers around kind of like a snake tongue. I was like, oh, I never noticed that before. So I think that, like, extended gore shots like that kind of carried it. So it's probably going to be the version of the film I watch from now on, but... Ultimately, if you didn't like the theatrical cut, I don't think
Well, I watched when I rewatched it.
I don't think it'd make a big difference.
I still didn't like the movie. I really tried. I was like, it's been 10 years. Thomas likes it now.
Yeah, it's grown on me.
And I'm just like, nope, it doesn't do anything. I kind of just feel really hollow about it. It just feels fake to me, if that makes sense. Like, it's like, it feels like they're throwing the visuals at you, and I'm like, but the heart isn't there.
Yeah, I will say the human characterization has always been the thing about the movie that is like, oh, that's where it falls the flattest.
It's bad.
I
also think the acting's pretty bad. I think Mia's pretty good.
Yeah, I like Mia a lot. I like the guy who plays... not David, but the other guy. The guy who, opens the book.
The glasses guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I really appreciate, there's Evil Dead Rise. Person's just, they're a kid. They're dumb. They're a kid. No. This guy's just the most idiotic man I've ever seen. And I mean, I appreciate that. Just make your character an absolute fucking bozo.
Honestly, I think my favorite part of 2013 is that, he pays for it he gets it the worst out of anybody. Every time there's a new, encounter with a Deadite, they get their few hits in on him, and they're usually way worse than what the other characters are getting. So it's yeah, this guy deserves this. Fuck that guy. Yeah. But also on the same level, it's I do kind of empathize with his plot a little bit.
I don't think any of the plots are necessarily even bad. I like the premise.
They're not fleshed out enough.
Nothing works for me.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason I don't like, what is it, Fede Alvarez? Is that his name?
Yeah.
I don't like Don't Breathe either.
I remember liking Don't Breathe, but I only saw it once in theaters.
It's conceptually, I think both these movies work, and it's just it doesn't have that, heart that I need. I think Evil Dead Rise, I think it really captures what I like about Evil Dead.
Yeah.
And I think it fits really well kind of in between Evil Dead 1 and 2 tonally, Rise does. Because I think it's definitely a serious, but there's funny moments for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's more physical comedy too.
Mm-hmm.
The eyeball.
Yeah.
That was funny. I almost spit out my drink. I was like, ah! And it was one of those movies that all the gore and stuff was really fun to watch. I was doing this in the theater. I was this is so much fun. It just none of the kills, none of the gore in 2013 do anything for me. I'm just they're fine.
I'm kind of the opposite.
I think visually the movie looks good. It's a good looking movie, but it just doesn't do anything for me.
I actually think the gore is probably my favorite aspect of the 2013 remake. Okay. I actually like the gore in that one a lot more than I thought. It was a little too toned down in this one, which I understood because it's it is a cast of kids, and I'm always going to take my hat off because no other movie is going to do what they did. Evil Dead Rise.
I was
so it's I
maybe
understand.
The shock value of that was just wow, they did these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. But, I just, I don't know. There's so many moments from 2013 I think of, the fucking pulling the syringe out of the eye.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. In concept, I'm oh, that freaked me out. But I don't know. What? It just didn't do anything. I was syringe. But if that was in real life, I'd be oh!
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I like 2013, but I get it. I totally get it. I was there with you for years.
And it's we do have our biases, and even though in my heart I want to say I was I'm going in, I'm going to like it, or I'm going to give it a fair chance, there's always a chance that, in my subconscious I was just no, this movie's stinky.
Yeah, I did that for a long time, because I went into it so excited, in 2013, I was I would have been, I guess, 15, 16 at the time when it came out, so I was just
we're old.
I know. And it's been 10 years since it came out, so it's oh no.
Yeah, I saw it was 10 years. I'm oh no.
And then it had almost been, if Army of Darkness had come out a year later, it would have been a 20-year gap in between 2013.
And it's been 40 years since Evil Dead 1 now.
I know. It's crazy.
Remember when we went to the premiere of that?
I wish.
Back in the day.
I wish I could have gone to the premiere. Like one of those underground theaters.
And I told this to my friend. I think what is so great about the original trilogy is Sam Raimi, and I mean this as a compliment, is a dickhead.
Yeah, no.
Like, it feels like in behind the camera, every time Bruce Campbell gets hurt, Sam Raimi's laughing.
No, he is.
Yeah.
He most certainly is.
And I don't feel that in 2013 at all. Like, it doesn't, it feels like you're doing it because you think this is what an Evil Dead movie needs, not because you think it'd be fun. But for me, at least, I think Evil Dead Rise kind of captured that behind the camera tone. Like, it feels like Lee Cronin was like, okay, what would be really fun is if we hit this kid in the back of the head, you know? So I think that's the big piece that's missing for me in 2013. I don't know if you feel differently watching 2013.
I mean, I agree. Like, and I think it makes sense for, like, my point of view why, like, that's okay.
You know, and I get it. I just...
Yeah, because 2013 is, like, pitch black. Like, it's not trying to be funny at all, really. It has its moments.
Well, even, like, Evil Dead 1, I don't think is a funny movie, besides, like, some of the acting and stuff. Like, I think it's a tonally pretty dark movie.
It definitely tries to be.
But behind the camera, it's just, like, Sam Raimi's like, you know?
And that's one of the things is, like, I feel like those movies were able to go so far because it's, like, Bruce and Sam had that relationship where, like, it's like, all right, I'm going to abuse the shit out of you and it's going to be okay.
I saw an interview. He was like a Q&A and I was talking about how they like met. He's like, yeah, so I was in middle school and I was walking down the halls and I see a kid on the ground playing with dolls. And he's like, well, gotta avoid that guy. Yeah. And he's like, and then later on we were in the same like film class. That's so funny.
Yeah. But
it's so funny how they talk about each other. Bruce Campbell's like, yeah, Sam Raimi, loser.
No, yeah, because it's like one of those like fun bullying type sets. Like watching the behind the scenes of Spider-Man and like Sam's like, hey, Toby, shut the fuck up or I'll punch your teeth in kind of a thing. It's just like, maybe not that explicit. But.
So I was also seeing how he was talking about his cameos in the Spider-Man movies. And in the first one, he's like, he met Tobey Maguire and Tobey was like, oh yeah, you're Sam's friend from high school. Cool. Nice to meet you. And then the second one, he's like, you're playing a different character? He's like, yeah. It's called acting. And then in the third one, he's like, he's like, yeah, he saw me from like 100 feet away. And he's like, oh, thank God we can't make a Spider-Man movie without Bruce fucking Campbell.
Damn fucking right you can't.
And it's like, Tobey Maguire, he was probably being a dick because Tobey Maguire, I know, is like not a great personality to work with.
Yeah.
Which it's fine. You know, he's the diva, whatever. But I'm like, that's so funny. Like, because Bruce Campbell also seems like he just doesn't give a shit about a lot of things. Like,
yeah. Like, I was watching one of the press interviews because him and Sam and Rob are going around fucking talking with like Lee and the stars of Rise. And he's like, Bruce is just like, I don't. Specifically, like, the actress who played Mia in 2013 had, like, a big aversion to the blood. But to be fair, she was in, like, a lot of blood for a long time. So it's, like, completely understandable. But Bruce is like, I don't feel sorry for any of these actors. Like, I've been through it, and I've been through it in rougher conditions. Like, because
that's true. Like, Sam just showed up on set one day with just a giant bag of blood. And they're like, Sam, where did you get that? Like, don't worry about it.
Blood is just like, all right, Bruce, here we go. Or they were talking about cup shots, how they love cup shots because they'll just be like, all right, behind. And Sam, like, apparently got really good at cup shots, just knowing where his arm needed to be in relation to the camera. But it's a big old cup of blood that he'll just fucking chuck in their face. And apparently he has perfect aim. So, yeah, it's just
But, yeah, I really liked Evil Dead Rise. And that lady, what was her name?
The one who played
Alyssa Sutherland, the one who played Ellie, she's so good.
She is. Yeah, she was fucking.
I think Lily Sullivan, woman who played Beth is also good. That's the thing. Is I also think pretty much everyone in that is good. Like the kids are good.
Yeah, good children actors, which is fucking hard to come by. Well, I guess easier to come by these days.
Yeah, and it's like that's kind of worrying though. It's like we just have.
Yeah, it's like I hope you guys take. This is like a seasonal kind of a thing,
and it's probably not.
Yeah,
but that it ruled. I would be happy to see another thing with Beth. Honestly, I'd be fine with seeing another thing with Mia too.
Yeah, I'm down for whatever. I know they've flirted with the idea of doing a 3-way where all 3 of them cross, which would be cool.
I know.
Lee Cronin made a comment where Bruce Campbell features as a cameo in the record when it's like they're like yelling at the guy like, "Don't do it! It's called the Book of the Dead for a reason." That's Bruce Campbell, and Lee Cronin's like, "Well, this isn't like official in like Sam Bruce land, but me, the director Lee Cronin, says that that's Ash in some weird time fucking shenanigans." So it's like, oh man.
Me, Lee Cronin, I make the rule.
Yeah, but I mean the Ash multiverse is like, I mean, clearly a thing.
Yeah. What else did I watch? Ooh, I watched The Pope's Exorcist that same day.
Oh.
I'm going to be honest. It was kind of good.
Oh, okay.
I think Julius Avery, he's the same guy who did Samaritan from last year, which is like it was like a prime original like superhero movie about like an aging Sylvester Stallone. It wasn't good, but like there were, I'm like, this is okay. Like there's promise here. And he did, what was that? The Nazi zombie movie from a couple years ago. Overlord. Yeah, which I heard was pretty decent. I didn't end up seeing it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, he seems to have this, a good control of what he wants to do. Pope's Exorcist is very dumb, but like, it's pretty decent.
Yes.
And it really goes a lot further than I thought it would. They're making Pope's Exorcist 2, don't worry.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they just announced it.
Oh, boy.
And then most of the rest of the week, I was watching just a shit ton of like anime OVAs. I'm like, I miss doing that. While you were watching cinema, I was watching anime OVAs. Nice. I watched one called The Humanoid, which is just like kind of like a Star Wars ripoff from like the 80s. It was bad. Mm-hmm. It was just really like nonsensical in its plot, which I think a lot of OVAs are, because like, we're gonna cram this into 45 minutes. I watched the Dragon Ball Curse of the Blood Rubies, which is like a retelling of the entire first arc in 45 minutes.
Yeah, I've heard it's not good.
It's okay. I haven't seen the original Dragon Ball, so I'm like, okay, I'm trying to, oh god, where are we going? I think it's okay.
Yeah. I know it does have some big key differences.
I'm sure.
Yeah, like, I think
there is a different retelling of the first arc as well that came out like a decent amount later. I think Path to Power or something like that. Yeah. You might be thinking of that one too.
Yeah, Path to Power came out like, I think during like GT era, and that one's considered really good, which I have not seen, so.
I almost watched that like right after. But then I watched one called Slayers Perfect, or Slayers the Movie, which Slayers has like 5 seasons and stuff.
Yeah. I'm aware of it. I've never seen it.
It's awesome. Yeah. It was really good. The dub is amazing in like the word. It's bad, but it's really good. I can't actually, I think it's earnestly good because it's like, they get it. They are all playing these over-the-top characters. Not a single person has a nuanced performance. It's fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Everyone sounds like a voice I would make at random moments. But in general, it's fun. It looks great. Just kind of like a fun kind of fantasy setting. And concise, fun story in an hour. We watched Looney Tunes Back in Action. Christina Teo really likes that movie. I think it's okay. I think it's kind of just like in one ear, out the other. There's not a lot of like lasting presence to it, and I don't think most of the jokes land, and most of the time it's just like, Who Framed Roger Rabbit's a pretty good movie. While this one is like, this isn't great.
Bob Hoskins.
I think the performances in the movie are really fun. A lot of the actors are being really big weirdos. So I think like the lead, like Brendan Fraser's fun in it, but everyone else is like, and I was like, this is good. This is good. It's okay. Last OVA I watched was called California Crisis Gun Salvo. And it seemed like, I think it was don't think it was ever finished completely, but it was still released because like the last 10 minutes are like, this should have been like 30. It has like this really strong pacing, and then suddenly it's like, what the fuck's happening? It's another one that's like really strange, almost nonsensical storytelling, but it looks really cool. Like everything has this like art pop aesthetic to it. It's not like pretty much any anime I've seen has a really different art aesthetic than I'm used to. It all takes place in California, and it's really fun. I had fun with that one. And last two things I watched, we watched the new Power Rangers. They did like an hour-long special for the 30th anniversary.
Oh, that makes sense. I was curious. I was like, something had to have happened because I was seeing a lot of like Power Rangers stuff on my feed. So I liked it quite a bit. I like Power Rangers. If you like Power Rangers, you'd probably like it. It's kind of sad because the original Yellow Ranger died like when she was like 24 or something in a car crash, and it's about her daughter in the show. And it's like semi-sweet, but also it's like they couldn't get most of the actors back, so it feels like kind of a big chunk is missing the entire time, and they kind of just like give it like a little explain away. It's like, oh, they're gone. Oh, whoops, we gotta save them. In general, good though. They did the same thing that they fucked up on in the original movie though, and they made the fight with the Zords, they did CG. And I'm like, you don't do CG for any of your shows. Why would you do CG for this dumb monster fight? I want to see the big, dumb costumes. It's the best part. But that wouldn't be cinema.
And then me, Joe, and Pierre last night, we wanted to watch a dumb horror movie. So we were scrolling through Tubi. We were going to watch Grave Encounters 2. But then, in the search results, there was also a movie called Ghost Crew. And I'm like, what is this? And it had a terrible, terrible poster.
You know, I actually don't hate that poster.
Well,
it's conceptual and it's got some effort.
The thing is, yeah, I don't think it's a terrible poster. I do think it completely is completely different from the actual tone of the movie. Which is like this low budget. I think it takes place in Scotland, like found footage horror movie, because those are cheap to make. And you know what? It's pretty good. I think they don't necessarily have a strong grasp on the tone they want all the time. There's like a reoccurring gag where the main guy keeps like trying to sit on things to like kind of look cool in an interview, and he just keeps like falling over, and it's funny, but I don't think it like naturally occurs. And I think, like, it also does the thing where it sometimes just stops being found footage, and they just have regular shots. But it's not, like, a consistent thing. So I'm like, what's going on? But in general, it's like the heart's there. It really feels like they cared about this, and it has pretty good character writing for the two leads. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? I like that. I looked at the director, and they made a bunch of, like, low budget horror movies, and I'll probably check out some other ones, because I'm like, wow, that was a very pleasant surprise. I've been thinking about it all day too, because I'm like, wow, look at me go. And then I was reading a lot this week. I read the first 3 volumes of Radiant Black, which I'd heard good things about. Pierre's been really liking it, and I loved it. It was literally just like, man, this is what I wanted to like in Invincible. And I'm a little over halfway through Heir to the Empire, the original Thrawn book. That one's pretty good. I don't like it nearly as much as the Thrawn, the like 2014 one or whatever. I think Zeon definitely got better as his career went on. And I think so far in Heir to the Empire, Thrawn is just certifiably evil. While he does a lot of bad things and is I would say, evil in the newer stuff. It definitely feels like he's not completely evil.
No, yeah.
I don't know if I'll feel that way after like the whole trilogy, but it's like fun, but it's not great characterization.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. That I also read Dark Knight's Metal, which is a Scott Snyder DC event that was a couple of years ago, with a bunch of evil Batmans and this evil Bat God, and it's just fucking horrendous.
No,
it's so bad, and I knew it was. I'm like, this is not something I would like.
Yeah.
I will say there's some good writing between Batman and Superman. Like, they're besties in it, and they really want. And it's like, I gotta save my best friend. And I was like, that's good. There's some good stuff in that, but everything that happens is just dumb.
Is it?
That's the one where Batman Who Laughs is from.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it in the New 52 canon? Because I know didn't Scott Snyder write for that?
It's like newer. It pretty much directly leads into Infinite Frontier, which is the newest thing that kind of expands. What they do is New 52. They're like, oh, there's 52 multiverses. It's a closed multiverse, though. There's no more. Dark Knight's Metal is like, guys, this is the map of the 52 universes. But what if? And you know what they do? They turn it over, and it's just black. And it's like, but there's a dark multiverse. And I'm like, I'm going to shoot myself in the head right now. And then later on, I guess spoilers for Dark Knight's Metal. But it's like, guys, when we defeated Barbados, we broke the wall. There aren't 52 multiverses. There's much more. It's kind of like in One Piece where it's like, guys, we got over the wall. But it, like, that's fun. This is just like, there's 52 universes. That's a lot.
I thought you
don't need infinite.
For a second there, I thought you were going to jump up to, there's now 104 universes. It doubled.
And I mean, like, I kind of appreciate Infinite Frontier, like, in concept, because it's like, this is good because you can just write whatever you want. Like, you don't need to, do a certain continuity. This is fine. I'm fine with this. I think small-scale stories shouldn't be connected to other things. Mm-hmm. I don't think you needed to explain this, though. I think comics, both fans and creators, like, their need to, like, make things connected just kind of ruins things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
I don't mind shared universes. Yeah. Like, Radiant Black has a shared universe that I'm interested in called the Massiverse, but apparently, from what I know, it just seems like it's, like, kind of, like, context and it's like small things, not like here's a giant. I'm sure Radiant Black will eventually have a big thing, but so far I'm like, this is good.
Yeah, because it's like, I mean, obviously, yeah, when it's done well and scarcely, it's like that kind of shit can be like really cool, but it's become a gimmick and everyone's trying to fucking connect to everything. Like, for instance, I know. Back to the Evil Dead a little bit. I know that they were talking about potentially doing that 3-way. I don't think they should.
I mean, I think it'd be funny, but it's like, I would just worry that they would spend like the first 30 minutes being like, oh, how do we put them together? Just put them in a room.
Yeah.
Like that, if they were going to do that, I'd literally just be like, like they're at the cabin hanging out, and then Ash pulls up. He's like, guys, we gotta get out of here. Like, don't explain how they meet.
Yeah, that or a big just portals like open up in the first couple minutes,
and they just fall in.
They all get sucked in and go to like Army of Darkness times or something,
or far future. Do it the opposite this time.
Yeah,
that actually
they can cash in on that post-apocalyptic alternate ending of Army of Darkness, which I would love to see in a comic or something, maybe. But I'm sure
they've done it, because there's been a decent chunk of Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I've only read a little bit of the Army of Darkness comics, so probably, but not in the portion of the stuff that I read.
I wonder what the newer, the last one. Well, the current one is Army of Darkness versus Reanimator Necronomicon Rising. But
they're doing another Army of Darkness versus Reanimator, huh? Because they did that like forever ago. But yeah, no, because they've just been doing this Army of Darkness versus titles as long as I can remember. I think there's one that's even like Army of Darkness versus Obama or something like that.
I think he has to save Obama.
Yes. I'm sure that comic probably fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ash Williams from 2021 this is 1979. This is the newest one before the Versus. He gets thrown back into the Bronx of 1979 where like a gang leader finds the Necronomicon. Okay. I want to pick up some of those. I'm sure most of them are pretty fucking rough.
Yeah, I've got the omnibuses for like the original, like. I think there's like runs, volumes, whatever you want to call them, fucking of the original like few volumes of Army of Darkness, and then I have the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash trade paperbacks, but yeah, but yeah, that stuff's kind of cool, but obviously shared universes when they're crammed into fucking everything, it's like get the fuck out of here.
You know, the one thing I will say is I'm theoretically fine with horror versus movies if they were good.
Yeah.
Like, in concept, I think Freddy vs. Jason is a funny movie.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't like that movie particularly, but like in concept, and there are parts of it I quite enjoy. It's just like, no, that's fair. I don't think you're wrong for liking that one.
Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little. My coworker today, I was talking about Belle, which is one of the new Hosoda movies from last year, who I historically really don't like his movies, besides his One Piece movie. I like that one.
Yeah.
I was talking about how I didn't like it, but I'm like, but she liked it. She's like, yeah, I did. I'm like, it's okay. I'm not going to be mad at you for liking something. And my other coworker was like, well, maybe a little. I'm like, yeah, but only in my mind. I won't say anything. No. And no, I won't get mad at anyone for enjoying things. Enjoying things is good.
Yeah.
I'm just a hater. Okay, well, we've talked for a long time about everything we've done this week. It's been a big week.
Yeah.
But, let's, no questions. I just checked. Let me double check, make sure it loaded correctly. Yeah, no questions. So let's just jump into 8th MS Team.
Heck yeah.
From 95. This ran for like 3 years. It took them, like, they did, I think the first 3 episodes came out the same day, and then it was like 4 months in between each episode or something like that. Like, why did you do that?
Yeah, that's weird.
So we follow Shiro Amada, who is a young, like, ensign, not super young, though. He's 23.
Mm-hmm.
He's like an adult.
Yeah.
And he is getting transferred to Earth. He is like the first time seeing Earth. He's from the moon, I think, the moon colony or side 2. He's from one of the sides, but he's part of the Earth Federation and he's part of the ground unit. So he's going to Earth. The first episode is pretty cool because I like this idea. There's like 2 Gundams or there's 2 mobile suits fighting outside. He's like, we gotta help them. And I'm like, we don't have anything. We just have a ball, which are just like little like robots with little guns. He's like, I'll take it. And he helps them. And he meets him and another enemy pilot named Aina get kind of stranded and they have to help each other survive. And they do. And this kind of dictates the rest of his feelings for the rest of... the rest of his feelings for the rest of the series, where he gets kind of disillusioned to this war effort, and he's like, well, if I can fall in love with someone on the other side, they can't all be bad, kind of thing. And she's kind of feeling the same way. Her brother's also, like, insane.
He seemed like a very reasonable gentleman.
What was his name? Genius or something like that? Genius? Guineas. Thomas is not going to remember any names for us. What was Rukia's name?
Was Rukia Karen?
No, Kiki.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Kiki, Karen.
Sanders,
you got it.
Ardrubabu. Like, what was that guy's name with the headphones?
The singer?
Yeah.
Elidor? And Mikkel.
Mikkel, yes.
So, yeah, he And for his big assignment, he gets kind of the commanding role in this 8th MS team, which is a ground unit. Karen had been in there already, I think, and Sanders had just been transferred in, but it's mostly like kind of a new team. I think it was just Elidor and Karen that were there before, or was Elidor in there before? I can't even remember.
I think so.
Okay. But Mikkel's like, I really like Mikkel's arc in this, how he just like is like, this guy's an idiot, and then by that it's like, come on! But yeah, so Shiro throughout the series he's like a pretty good leader in general for most of it, but he is getting disillusioned this whole time. And
he's very bright-eyed and idealistic through the first half.
And then he's like, we can't be killing these people. Like, they're us. Like, these are people that are just being told to kill. I'm just being told to kill. Should I be killing? And he also sees the war effects on, like, these villagers. Kiki's village they're kind of, like, doing this guerrilla warfare against kind of both sides, because, like, we just need food and we need supplies. Meanwhile, Karen and Sanders is, like, he has the nickname, what?
The Reaper.
The Reaper, and they keep saying he's a team killer because every team he's been on during their third mission, they all die. Yeah. So one of the big episodes is their third mission. Which,
in retrospect, takes away some of the little value I gave to that one episode of Igloo. Igloo 2, because it's that same concept. It's more fleshed out in that episode, but...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically the same setup that they use for the guy in the first episode of Igloo 2.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just like, I really like what they're doing with this one. But it's the same thing. I'm like, they have so many interesting characters in this.
Yeah.
They get like one episode.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so weird to think, because in general, before we were watching all this Gundam, I'm like, I don't like long-form television. Like, I don't like things with this many episodes. But, like, Gundam and Zeta Gundam, I'm like, this is good. And, like, this should have been 50 episodes. I'm like, all of these, Stardust Network, 50 episodes. Or, less characters, or, like, less, don't give them episodes, you know. Kind of swing the focus. I will say, I think this series, I think I liked it close to the same amount as I liked Stardust Memory.
Yeah.
I would say I think I like it a little more because I think it's more consistent throughout.
Yeah.
But I think Stardust Memory had, like...
I have, like, inverse, where I think the first half of Stardust Memories was really strong and it kind of fizzled out. Whereas I felt like this one kind of started off and I was like, a little bit towards the beginning, but then it gradually kind of started to
it's like,
win me.
The thing is with this, it has a lot of episodes in the front half that are like, fun little episodes kind of getting to know the characters, but then that's the only episode that they're really heavily featured in.
Yeah.
So it's like, why?
Yeah.
What's the point if you're not going to do anything with it? Yeah. Especially like the Elidor episode where he's like, we're going to go play my music, and they get captured by Zeon. Like, I'm like, this is fun. And then he's like barely in the show after that.
Yeah, I figured at least they would like do the thing where it's like, all right, like it'll be like A-B plots where you'll have like the A plot focused on the main crux of the war and get some B plots that kind of shuffle around the characters, like Elidor and Karen's. Yeah. Little relationship.
Yeah, they don't really do that. We don't really... Yeah. The only thing that we really get as a B-plot is I do think Mikkel gets some interesting stuff kind of scattered throughout, and then he gets his final episode. Because I actually... when episode 11 ended, and they're like, the war ended. I'm like, what?
I know.
I'm like, what?
I'm like, so fucking
Did I miss an episode?
Because I was like, yes! After all these series, I'm finally getting a one with a fucking epilogue. Because I fucking love epilogues. And Gundam never does that.
Yeah. It's like, here's 2 minutes, or here's 1 second.
It's always like, it always feels like when you get to that last episode, there's at least like 3 episodes left. And it's like, wait, this is the last episode? What's going to happen? And then it wraps up and you're just like...
Zeta Gundam was especially like...
Yeah.
Zeta Gundam, I was just sitting there like wide-eyed. and then it just ends.
Yeah. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah, this had an epilogue, so Shiro is pretty much gonna get court-martialed. I actually, now that I've seen this, I do want to watch the OVA that kind of recaps this, because it takes place during the trial that he's on in episode 9 or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And it's told through the perspective of they bring in an agent named Miller who's supposed to be investigating that, and it's told through that. I think that's actually a pretty good idea. I think it's only 50 minutes though, but I'm if they were to do this, if I were to do this, I would have made it an hour and a half movie focusing mostly on Shiro, told through that perspective. I think that's an awesome idea. And the thing is, but they end in the 11th episode and they just kind of disappear. People think they're dead. It ends with all of the people running out them to try to find the commander. And then the 12th episode, it cuts to a year later, and Kiki and Mikkel, who was the only person that was discharged, are trying to find Shiro still. And I think that's awesome. It does feel I kind of wish that was it's a standalone hour-long OVA, because there's some I think it's the best episode.
I agree.
I think it's awesome. And I think there's some really I think that's also the most hard-hitting one. There's some really powerful statements in that one. Probably because they're now focused more on kids again, which is mostly what Mobile Suit Gundam is about. I'm watching 8th MS Team, what, a bunch of adults? What the fuck? Besides Kiki, and I think Mikkel's probably 18, 17 as well.
Around there.
And I think Mikkel's probably one of the most engaging characters outside of Shiro because of his stuff. He wants the stuff with his partner BB. What the fuck is that?
Yeah. I mean, I think, isn't that a real name pronounced Bebe? Or maybe.
I mean, even in the subtitles on Hulu, it was just BB.
Yeah. I might be on.
Never heard of it.
It's a South Park character. Digging deep into the recesses of my mind here.
Big Bertha from the DC universe.
Let's see. How to pronounce bid?
BB,
whether it's the storm,
Is that a French name? Well, I mean, his name... I was arguing with Tina because I love to argue even though I know she's right. She's like, it's Michelle. And I'm like, no, do you hear the dub? They're saying Mikkel. And they're like, you see him writing in French. It's like, no. But yeah, I think there's some good stuff, and I think it's also the last episode is he's just holding a picture of his ex-partner who has a baby and is married now. I'm like, man, poor guy. But
yeah, especially I liked that resolution he came to in that one episode.
Yeah,
I was oh man, I was hoping he was gonna maybe have an episode where he writes her back with his new determination, and maybe that would inspire her or something, but nah.
I'm gonna be honest, I think what I didn't really, I wasn't connecting as much because I don't think this one is that sad.
No,
I kept expecting the other shoe to drop. Aina gets shot in the heart, in the chest. And I'm like, holy fuck, they did it. They killed her. And it was nope. Heart locket. And I'm like, that's sweet. I think this is a good series, but it just isn't as emotionally impactful as most Gundam.
No.
And I think it's just a little harder for me to connect with that, especially because they don't give as much time to the characters as I would like.
Yeah.
Especially the Aina Shiro stuff. I think it's great. I love that kind of story arcs. But I'm just this stuff is just done better in most other Gundam stories.
Yes, I agree. That, and I during the first half specifically, I was kind of having a hard time connecting with it because to me, the cast of this show is definitely more shonen-y than the average Gundam show that we've watched so far. So that was kind of a tone adjustment for me, and I felt there were some points where I was oh man, they're really gonna push this kid and his shonen-esque idealism down into the mud. And they kind of start to, but they never really, because that episode where he's in the tank facing off against the one guy, and he's like, I know I had all that, speech about wanting to save my friends, but is that even really true right now? All I want to do is save myself.
Yeah, no, that's all. Like, there are brilliant moments, but it's just like...
But yeah, it's not fleshed out.
Yeah.
Same with his backstory. You just get the one flashback where you see what happens.
And it's like this feels like you need double the episodes that are here.
Yeah.
For what you're trying to do. Or make it like 2 movies or something that just focus on him. I don't think the focus is there. I know we're kind of ragging on it. I still really like this. I had a lot of fun, but it's just, it's the thing is, it's just like, especially after watching Zeta Gun, I'm like, it's no Zeta Gun.
Yeah, no.
I do think I really, really like the visual aesthetic of this. I like the locations, and I like the voice cast quite a bit. I like Shiro as a character quite a bit. I think he's pretty good. It's just like, I want more. It's the same thing. I like Koaraki as a character too a lot. It's like, I want more.
Yeah.
It's like, you know who I got a lot of? Camille Badan. And I do not think any of these characters have been nearly as cool as Camille Badan, who I think is just an exceptionally well-written character.
Yeah, Camille's great. I really like Camille.
I think another thing is because I don't think Stardust Memory or this were written by Tomino. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just also kind of just missing there.
Yeah.
Let me double check. I might be lying. Yeah, no, and then...
Yeah. Well...
Because, Tomino, he would have killed them all.
Yeah.
He would have had every single person die.
Yeah, probably. Maybe.
I actually thought they were all going to die.
Yeah, so did I.
And then they didn't. And I'm like, in some ways, I'm like, oh, that's sweet. But
or maybe not all of them, but I thought at least a chunk of them were going to get taken out. But no, the entire fucking...
yeah, they're all fine. Like, boring. No, not boring.
But yeah, and that's why I think that last episode was so kind of hard-hitting, because it was like... It felt like the first episode to like... Because it's like, throughout the series... I feel like there's not a really good reminder of war. That it's like, aside from like Kiki's Village, I thought that was pretty effective.
Yeah.
Although, it's like, you guys are fucking idiots. What?
I mean, I get it.
I get it too, but it's just like, oh man.
And I don't know what I would do in that situation, And it's hard to tell with like emotions that high and like the people around you. And
yeah.
But, it's just like, I think Kiki's Village stuff is really good, but it's not focused on enough. It's the whole thing is just like, it lacks narrative focus, thematic focus even.
Yeah, it's like really the only strong theme that like really resonated with me throughout is like the kind of like independence of like the self and not kind of... it's like, all right, the war might not be over for like everyone else, but it's over for us. Like we're
also, it just feels like we watched 13 episodes of a 50 episode anime and we're skipping through to big chunks.
Yeah.
Because like the, Guineas's like boss, the actual like guy, he was really cool. Like he was we barely got any of him. That guy was awesome.
Yeah, I would have really liked both sides to get fleshed out more, because I also thought the one captain for the Federation, it's like, I thought he was a bit stock as he stood, but it's like they had the opportunity to make him into a really interesting character.
No, there was so... It's like, I guess Gundam needs 50 episodes for their stories. But at the same time, I'm like, I think War of the Pocket works incredibly well for its 3 hours.
Yeah. That one knew what it wanted to accomplish. And that one is directed by...
Was it Tomino that did it? I can't remember. I'll check.
I think so. I might be wrong on that, but... yeah, because it's just like... I don't know. That one was just all together more cohesive. And it was also a smaller scale story, so it's like... It makes sense that it would only be 6 episodes. And it's like half the fucking runtime of these shows, and it manages to fucking I won't say blow them out of the water, but
I will.
yeah.
No, Tomino didn't do it.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't think it's needed, but you kind of need.
You at least need the spirit.
Yeah, and I think the spirit is there.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see a good 25 episode series. See if they could pull that off. It'd be a nice mid balance, and I think you could probably do a lot with a 24, 25 episode series.
I think Iron-Blooded Orphans, I know it's not in the UC, but I think Iron-Blooded Orphans is 2 seasons of 13 episodes each, so I think that's about...
Because I was going to say, it's not Gundam, but I mean, like, look at, like, Gurren Lagann, for example, because like that's 27 episodes, and it kicks ass.
Fun fact, the writer of War in the Pocket, he was one of the directors of Gurren Lagann, I'm pretty sure.
Nice. Yeah, no.
Oh, no, Iron-Blooded Orphans is 50 episodes.
Oh, okay.
You need it! You need the 50 episodes!
Yeah, it's either 50...
Or 5, or whatever.
56 or 12. Maybe 13 if you're real lucky. But guess what? Y'all get compilation films.
That's the thing. Like, this kind of just feels... I think this and Stardust Memory just kind of feel like compilation films. Like, you're missing... it feels like you're missing so much.
Yeah.
But it's so weird, because then you look at something like Thunderbolt, which is only an hour, and it captures, I think, the tone and the spirit of these characters so much better than I think this does.
Yeah.
I really liked this, but...
And that's especially...
Thunderbolt is so good.
Yeah, and that's especially interesting considering that, like, it stems from, like, a source that's, like, a bigger series.
Yeah.
But it manages to feel like a good one-off minus, I mean, obviously, the wrap-up stuff.
One-up. Just, it's fine. It ends 2 minutes before the actual runtime ends.
Yes. It's like, you get to the part where he's in the jail cell and you pause.
That was good.
Yeah. It's like the same way that when I, like, rewatch the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, now I watch 1 and 3, and then I'm just a happy camper.
It's so good. You want New Nightmare, I guess?
Yeah. I mean, I'll probably end up rewatching the other ones eventually, just because I feel like every, like, 5 years I'll probably need a recalibration.
I like that scene in Evil Dead Rise where, like, there's no bad Freddy movies. I'm like, what a load of shit!
Yeah, it's like even...
They're mostly bad!
It's like even the shitty ones. Oh, there are no shitty ones, shut up! It's like,
I'll watch these.
It's like,
but I will acknowledge that most of them are garbage.
Yeah. I can't say it with earnesty for Nightmare on Elm Street, but, like, with the exception of, like, 2 entries, I feel that way about Friday the 13th, but I will acknowledge those are not great movies.
Like, will you say you'll watch all the shitty ones, or you'll say that there's no bad ones?
Okay.
Because I think there's a difference. Like,
I wouldn't say that there's no... Because I'm not a big fan of 8 or 9 in particular. But I will say, I think that they're all watchable. And even the ones that, like, I can watch and I know in my brain, I'm like, this is a bad movie. But this is fucking awesome. I love it.
That's fair.
And I realize that that's how Friday or Nightmare fans probably feel about, like, entries 2. I mean, 2 is honestly not that bad.
Yeah, the 2 I think is
2
bad. Like,
2 is acceptable,
bad, but it's like
it's got a lot of great scenes in it.
Yeah, and 2 it's like bad, but it's got so much going for it that it's like hard to not appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Especially considering the burden it kind of had to carry because it wasn't a franchise yet. So
yeah,
it was just
it's like, what if we made it gay? But I do think that movie... I really did not like that movie, but I can appreciate it. Kind of.
Yeah, I'd say, like, I think 75% of that movie is really boring, but there is 25% of that movie that I thoroughly love. But yeah. And I, even, like, in the bad Freddy movies, there's a lot of fun kills. Like, I like the fucking glove shark from 4, and...
How did we start talking about this?
We were talking about Evil Dead Rise and the shitty reference, but I don't know how we got onto Evil Dead Rise.
You said something about... How do we get talking about the Friday... You started talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street movies for some reason.
Well, I was...
And then I said, remember in Evil Dead Rise when... What the fuck?
What? Why did
How do we do this?
Why did I bring that? I have ADHD, so, I mean, I have a doctor's prescription to do this.
Anyway, I think 8th MS Team is very good. Mm-hmm. Visually, I think it's great. I really like that 90s aesthetic. Anything from the 70s to the 90s, I'm like, damn, that's my jam.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then it's like 2015 and on, I'm also like, that looks pretty good. It's just like there is a chunk of time in the like early to late 2000s, like that any of the aughts. I'm not saying they all look bad, but I feel like there's definitely like an upheaval and like they're changing directions.
Specifically, where the ones that I think look really bad are the ones that like try to use like their typical cell shading methods on the digital or try not to like spruce it up, which is what you got with a lot of those like weekly shows like Naruto or One Piece even, where it's like you guys are using the same strategies just in this new like
I don't think Bleach particularly looks bad, but there are definitely parts of it, especially anytime they go to a filler arc, it's like,
well, yeah.
Then it looks bad.
Those weekly animes, they have a lot of like amateurs who come in and do a lot of frames on them.
It's so funny watching the new series like 1,000 Year Blood War, which we started watching again because we just dropped it off because we're like, we're going to wait for the dub. We need to listen to Johnny and Wash. But that looks incredible. But also the last arc they did... right before because Bleach got canceled, so they did that small arc, and that looks great. It was like such a big step up from the previous stuff. But yeah, I think I honestly, most of the Gundam stuff we watched, I've liked the look of it quite a lot, except for MS Igloo, which looked bad.
Yes, Igloo was pretty bad. I wasn't super crazy about the art style in this one. Like I said, it was a little shonen-y.
Yeah, that's fair. I think most of the character design...
I thought the like mech and stuff looked really good.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think Shiro looks pretty good for a Gundam protagonist, but some of the other characters, I'm like, they don't look good. Like, a lot of Gundam characters kind of look like if you hit a regular anime character in the face with, like, a hammer.
Yeah.
Then, like, it kind of like...
He gave me Shiro's design. I realized he was before this series, but he gave me, like, Loosh vibes, or... What's that guy's name?
Fair. Lelouch? Lelouch from...
Code Geass.
Yeah. He looked like someone to me, and now I can't remember. Okay, never mind. But, like I said, I really liked it.
Yeah. It was pretty good.
It's no Zeta.
No, definitely
it's no Origin films.
Yeah, I mean, if like, let's say Zeta's the Z tier,
this is like
an A.
A or yeah. Are we rating? Are we going to start guessing each other's ratings again?
Why not?
Thank God, that was so boring when we couldn't do that. I think you're going to give this. This is weird because I don't know what any of your ratings would have been for any other Gundam stuff. Except for MS Igloo, where you said it was an 8, but in the reverse scale, so it was a 3. That was dumb. No. I think you're going to give us maybe a high 6, low 7.
Yeah, 6 is right.
6.
Yeah.
Okay.
A firm, nice.
Firm, hard, throbbing 6.
Yeah. And I think you're at like a 6 or a 7.
We're going to do a 7.
Yeah.
We did it. Another thing of Gundam down. We were originally going to do double Zeta, but Thomas called me in the morning sobbing, going, I can't handle any more Gundam right now.
Because it's like every series I watch, it's like, it just gets a little harder to start.
I get it. And it's also like, you can get worn out, especially with like shows. So we're gonna pull back. We will eventually come back to Gundam, and maybe in a couple months.
Before I dive headfirst to the 50-episode black sheep of the fucking Gundam's universe.
I feel like Victory Gundam's probably the black sheep.
Yeah.
If we're looking at UC.
I'm talking in terms of the trilogy, but yeah. But yeah.
But We were talking, so do we want to do one of those? Or, I forgot, we could also do this trilogy, because they are longer. You want to do that? Or if you want a little more, I can add 2 more movies by them.
How long are they?
These are each 3 hours.
Let's go with that. I'm gonna probably have kittens in the house this week.
We're gonna do the Human Condition trilogy by Masaki Kobayashi, I think his name is. Oh my god, I'm so smart. It's by Masaki Kobayashi. I bought this on the Criterion. Thomas now has a copy because they charged me twice and then they refunded me.
London. Thank you, Criterion.
So we're gonna... Yeah, I'm so pumped for this. I think all 3 of them are in like the top 100 on Letterboxd. I've heard they're all amazing. I'm very excited.
Yeah, so am I.
They're all like 3 hours or a little over. If I watch these and I'm suddenly like in the mood, I might just keep watching Kobayashi movies because I think he did Samurai Rebellion, which I've heard good things, and I think he did Kwaidan, which is like a horror movie that I've heard really good things about.
I think I know what one you're talking about. I think I've seen the poster.
It has like the face.
Yeah.
Which, those were the 2 that I was going to watch. That I was going to add. Yeah, this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm pumped, you know. I will say I loved Gundam, but it will be nice to watch something that people move in. Like, non-animation. Love animation, love anime, but
you mean
I do like watching live action things.
We're watching something from Japan that's not animated? I don't know.
Yeah, let's see. First Human Condition movie, No Greater Love, is 3 hours and 26 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Human Condition 2, Road to Eternity, is 2 hours and 58 minutes. See, it's under 3 hours. And Human Condition 3, A Soldier's Prayer, is 3 hours and 10 minutes.
Okay. Altogether, probably about, 10-ish hours?
9 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is, of course, by Harakiri Man, which we have covered on the podcast. You can watch it.
Harakiri.
I'm probably going to rewatch Harakiri.
I might also end up
because
rewatching
it's
Harakiri.
in my top. I've only seen it the once,
Same.
but it affected me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's that or Yojimbo. That's my favorite samurai movie. Those are both movies that after watching them I was like, fuck, that was good. God damn. Who allowed these people to make these fucking movies
And
so good?
that's what's so exciting about Masaki Kobayashi, finding all this, because it's he made 15 movies, and I'm I haven't seen any of them besides that one. So woo! If he made Harakiri, they must all be good. Maybe not all, but they must mostly be good.
Here's hoping. But yeah, all right.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
And I'm pretty sure the main character in Harakiri is one of the main characters. Oh, he's the main character in all the Human Condition movies.
Yes.
I didn't realize it had I thought they were 3 separate movies, but apparently it's a full trilogy. It's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking sick. Let's go.
Yeah, no, I'm fucking excited. I almost watched these I remember downloading them 2 years ago, but I never got around to them because it was probably 8 p.m. and I got too intimidated.
And don't worry, I'm pretty sure they are all put into 2-parters. So it has a good part where you take a break.
Oh, okay, good shit.
All right, well, that'll be exciting. Gundam will return. Don't worry, it will return.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Lupin will return.
Oh, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. We still got to watch more. Part 2, we got to watch Part 3.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a million more movies left.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's tons of movies and specials we haven't covered.
Okay. Anyway, thank you all for watching another exciting episode of Screen Weens. Tell your grandma.